here's what I say. Okay, yeah.
It's for Chelsea at the movies! Yay!
We went and saw the movie Isn't It Romantic, starring Rebel Wilson. This movie was a take on all the romantic comedies.
Basically, she gets trapped inside of a romantic comedy.
Yeah. She plays the lead and starts with a flashback with her as a child with not such a great mom.
Maybe being taught that, like, love and that kind of stuff that we see in movies isn't for girls that look like her and her mom.
Yeah. And that life was just hard otherwise. And so she grows up, like, you know, we see her in the workplace. She obviously doesn't think that she has a lot of value.
She's very codependent.
Yeah, and her big thing is, like, romantic comedies are dumb and none of this stuff happens and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So that's kind of the setup for the whole movie. Kelsey, what do you say? Go wait or skip?
I'm going to say wait to see this movie. I like the trailer a lot and I like the idea a lot. And as I watched the movie, I still like the idea a lot. I don't think they quite delivered what they could have. But I did, you know, I wouldn't say skip it because it was funny. There were funny parts in it and the idea was good and I enjoyed watching it. But it's not, I don't think, there have been other funny romantic comedies. The one that comes to my mind is There's Something About Mary. And it's nowhere near as funny or as good as that movie.
I wonder if that movie still holds up. I haven't watched it.
It's pretty funny.
It's really, like, hard, but I'm going to say go see this movie. In this genre of movie, I do think there's better movies out there that just, they seemed more, like, box office-y. So, like, a more recent one I could think of is 27 Dresses. Like, we just like that movie. And for me, they had, like, a box office feel to it. And this movie seemed to be lacking something, which was surprising given the premise of being, like, you know, she gets, like, oh, did we say spoilers? So spoilers.
Spoilers.
In case we spoil anything.
The guy's not Thor. That's Thor's brother.
Yeah, it's for Thor's brother. Like, she gets hit on the head and she wakes up in a romantic comedy, and I kind of expected to have more of a punch. So, like, we recently talked about Fighting with My Family and how it was kind of lacking something. And I thought the same thing with this movie.
Are they just cheaping out now? Is that what's going on?
You know, I heard on a podcast I was listening to that if you are going to, like, go make a movie, that you need, like, an equal amount of whatever you're putting into the movie. You need an equal amount of budget for the score. Mm. That's how much, if you want, like, a really good score.
You got to get Hans Zimmer.
So what I noticed in this movie is that there were a lot of parts that were kind of quiet.
Yeah.
And so I wondered again, not being anybody who's like, I'm not musically inclined, so I'm just taking a stab in the dark. Maybe the score in this movie wasn't as good as it should have been. But there was something missing for me. But when it got to the, like, second half of the movie, it really took off for me. And the message of the movie was so good. And I got kind of swept away in it.
I feel like you got swept away in a good, positive message that kind of mirrors a lot of the things that we're learning in our personal lives.
Yeah.
Because it did have a really great message, and I really liked that.
So you get, like, into the romantic comedy, and so she's stuck in this world, and, like, she hates it, and she's like, I gotta get out, and she's like, well, I gotta get this guy to fall in love with me. Yeah. And it's Liam Hemsworth plays this character, and so she thinks that's it. It turns out it's not it.
Yeah, beguiling. He's pretty good at it, too.
Yeah, he did a good job. And then it turns, she's like, oh, this guy who's my best friend I've been overlooking all this time, he's it. We're supposed to fall in love. And so she goes through this whole thing and ends up, like, breaking up his wedding, right? Or almost breaking up his wedding. And right at that moment, she realizes, oh, it's not about making a guy fall in love with me. Well, it's about me.
It's not even about her saying I love you to him.
Yeah.
It was
about her saying I love you to myself. And so, like, she actually, like, stops, right? She's like, you know what? Get married. I'm done here. And, like, she leaves. So that's the whole, and that was really great, like, seeing
the impact on me as a viewer was huge because usually when I'm watching a movie, I can kind of see where things are going. But when she stopped, when she said, because I love, and then she was like, I love me. I never saw that comment. It hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, what a smart thing to do. And they pulled that part off.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. And so I guess for me, I kind of got swept away in that Secondarily,
message.
what I noticed in this movie is once she was in the romantic comedy, the whole point of the movie was that she's not the normal lead for a romantic comedy, and that like it's kind of fairy tale-ish, like whatever. But when they did all the rom-com like normal tropes and all that, it still gave me like kind of a fluttery feeling where I was like, oh, I like rom-coms for these reasons. For all these things that they do, it makes me feel a certain way inside. Yeah. So I enjoyed it even in the movie that was intentionally like over the top with being a rom-com at this point.
Yeah.
Because they like went in and it was, you know, flowers everywhere and all this. The music, I thought the music that they did play, like at the beginning when she's first in it, like there's a guy on a bike and he just happens to turn up his radio. Like who has a boombox? And he has it and I forget what song it was. But like it's like just a perfect rom-com song. And but like it worked. But it was just funny being in that, and I knew what it was. I still got those feelings, those like, you know, girly, you know. So I wondered if it affected me in a different way than it affected Kelsey, being a man, watching it. So
I was just over there doing push-ups.
The other thing is, I thought Rebel Wilson played the lead in this movie very well. So first of all, this was a different kind of movie where she wasn't the butt of the joke and it wasn't like a lot of crudeness. I thought she did a really good job. Secondarily, I was like, oh, Rebel Wilson can play the lead in a rom-com. Like, I didn't think
she totally just did.
The way that she looked, though, you could put her in a traditional rom-com that's not like intentionally like, you know, being a rom-com in like the worst way possible. You could put her in that and I thought it would be fine. I was like, you know, I don't think that you have to be the Hollywood stereotypical beauty.
Like Rachel.
You know, or like, you know, how Liam Hemsworth is playing the male opposite in this. I thought like, oh, you could have Rebel Wilson and then the other guy's name is Aiden something, I forgot, I think. But he was in Pitch Perfect. He's in the most recent Taco Bell commercial.
That's a pretty good commercial. He's like, am I in the right commercial?
I was like, oh, they both could be in a rom-com and I would totally love it still. So I just thought that was an interesting thing to be able to see in this movie.
You know, and speaking of Aiden, whoever, I hope he gets the next big Taco Bell movie trailer thing. Have you noticed that some rom-com type actors?
Oh yeah, the guy from 27 Dresses
is in a Taco Bell commercial, and so is another guy.
The guy from Win a Date with Ted Hamilton is also in.
So maybe he's in line for that. Maybe that's a step up. Yeah, I think I agree with you on a lot of your points. I really like the message of the movie. I agree with you about Rebel Wilson. I just don't think everything landed the way it could have and should have, or at least what was promised to me from the trailer, which was a really good trailer. There were some really funny parts in the trailer. Those parts are in the movie at least. Sometimes you have parts that are...
Yeah.
They were in the movie, but those were the funniest things that happened in the movies.
Yeah,
and I'd already seen them, and there was nothing really more than that. So while they do that type of thing with trailers to get you to come see the movie, I would hope in all cases in movies that they leave a little something else.
Yeah.
Especially
there could have been
comedy.
More. It was
like, don't show me all the funny parts, and then...
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I agree.
So, I can't tell you to go see it. I want to. If you just want to go to a movie and you're bored, maybe you got AMC A-List like we do. Every time I say that, welcome AMC A-List, Rachel and I are like, yes, it's us.
What did you think at the end when she was the parking garage? So in the movie, she's an architect, but the team that she's on, she always designs the parking garages.
Oh. And I thought it was fine.
And so at the end, she has this really creative idea for a parking garage, and the idea was not to overlook parking garages because they're important.
Most of us have been in a parking garage at one time or another.
Yes.
So I thought it was cheesy and romantic comedy, like logic, but it worked and it fit the movie, and I thought it was fine. I didn't
expect it. I didn't expect them to take the parking garage thing from the beginning and then at the end for her to be it. Was it a little bit on the nose? Like it was, but at the same time, I didn't expect them to pull that in. I was like, oh, she's the parking garage.
It was a little on the nose. Sometimes, and when something's that on the nose, it can kind of like grate your soul, you know? You're like, But I thought it was fine.
What's not on the nose is when people like, comment, and subscribe, because that is just something that you should do.
And actually, with today's touch technology, you can like, comment, and subscribe with your phone. This is a phone here.
Yeah.
With your nose, you can do that.
Yeah.
I've done that.
I've had to use my nose to
too.
navigate my phone.
So if you want to like, comment, and subscribe with that, we appreciate it. We
use
love
your
you.
fingers or your nose.
You want to come to the movies with us? Come on! You can't come.
You
You can't sit with us.
Well,
you can. You know what? You want to buy me some Butterfinger? I don't usually get stuff there because it's stupid expensive. But I like to. Everybody likes to like mindlessly eat while they watch things on a giant screen.
Is it also harder because I don't eat?
Yeah. So then I'm just like by myself, like nom 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 nom. So it's I'm like, I just spent $40 over there. Well, I don't usually.
Do you wonder if
I don't
AMC...
spend $40. I do see people when they go to the movies, and I'm like, that must have cost you $63. You can't have warm food from a movie theater because the Butterfinger costs like $7 for some reason. You know what I mean? The popcorn, which costs practically nothing
Do
to
you
make.
think AMC hates us because like they look at like our like data and they're like, these mofos never buy anything at the concession?
We're not the ideal customer because we. I mean, yeah.
So that's where movie theaters make their money, is off concessions, because I believe it's a movie maker, the production company, gets a percentage of the ticket sales. And when you break a movie, when you run it first week, I believe they get 90% of the ticket sales. So movie theaters make their money off concessions. So, but they don't make it off us.